You are existing in your own quantum superposition, a state where all possibilities coexist simultaneously. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a profound principle where countless versions of you are present, each waiting for a conscious choice to become real and manifest in your experience. This isn't about blind faith or simple spiritual optimism. It's rooted in the principles of quantum mechanics itself, which demonstrate that a particle can exist in multiple states at once until it is observed. Until conscious attention is applied, its potential remains vast and undefined. Human consciousness operates by the same fundamental law. The version of you reading these words right now is merely one selected possibility, while many others remain open and vibrant. Consider the calm version of yourself, the intuitively guided version, the abundant creator, or the loving and whole version. All these potential selves exist within a vast field of pure potential, patiently waiting for your focused attention to collapse into a specific, tangible reality. The key to unlocking these possibilities is not about proving your worthiness. Instead, it hinges on the quality of observation you direct towards yourself. When you consistently view yourself through the lens of your past experiences, your body and nervous system are wired to recreate what they already know. This includes the same familiar thought patterns, the same predictable emotional responses, the same breath rhythms, and the ingrained way you tend to cling to old doubts and limiting beliefs. Just as the famous double-slit experiment revealed that when observation occurs, the interference pattern disappears and the particle chooses a specific path, your life behaves in an analogous manner. Everything remains a wave of potential until your consciousness deliberately chooses a perspective, thereby fixing it into a concrete, observable experience. Therefore, to truly change your reality, you must first fundamentally change the quality of your observation. This isn't about sugarcoating your circumstances or denying reality. It's about deliberately shifting the vibrational frequency of your inner anchor. Every morning, just before you fully open your eyes, there exists a thin, precious moment where the labels of names, daily roles, duties, and the accumulated weight of yesterday's experiences have not yet returned. This sacred interlude is precisely the gap between infinite potential and its eventual collapse into a defined reality. If, within that subtle gap, you gently guide your body into a deep, deliberate breath, consciously loosen your jaw, relax your shoulders, extend the exhale for just one more beat, and then powerfully pull forth the feeling of your highest, most desired version of yourself, you are initiating a profound shift. You are actively shifting your point of observation into a completely new channel, redirecting the flow of energy. Your body then begins to synchronize with a different emotional map, a new blueprint for being. You don't necessarily need complex visualizations. Often, it's enough to simply sense the physical posture and the biological rhythm of the version you choose to embody. The calm self, for instance, naturally breathes slower and more evenly. The confident self subtly opens the chest wider, projecting an aura of assurance. The abundant self grounds itself into the bed more peacefully, feeling secure and connected. When you choose to feel the body, tuning into its subtle sensations rather than engaging in arguments with your racing thoughts, you effectively pull your nervous system away from its old, habitual orbit. This act alone initiates a new collapse, bringing forth a different reality. The very essence of your power lies in realizing that you are simultaneously the observer and the observed, the cause and the result, all within the same interconnected system. You do not stand outside of life to passively judge it. Rather, you actively create life by observing it at a specific frequency. The real question, then, is not why things keep repeating in your life, but at what frequency you are consistently observing yourself. The frequency of perceived lack tends to contract your decisions, leading to scarcity. The frequency of defense closes off conversations and opportunities. Conversely, the frequency of gratitude immediately opens new probabilities and expands possibilities even within the same challenging situation. You begin to perceive the intimate, undeniable link between your inner state and your outer experience. You see, with startling clarity, that your emotions, thoughts, and energy are not separate from what you encounter and create outside yourself. Every layer is profoundly connected. Every signal you send inward is reflected outward with astonishing accuracy. From this moment, you are no longer a passive passenger swept along by ordinary events. Instead, you become a conscious traveler, moving deliberately among dimensions. Most of humanity never suspects this profound capability. The practice at this stage does not demand that you forcefully become someone else, someone you are not. Take a moment to recall the strange, profoundly aligned events in your life. The ones that were too perfectly timed, too interconnected to simply dismiss as random chance. Those were not accidents. They were deliberate preparations. They were small doors, opening one after another, leading you precisely to this exact moment of realization. The universe has been reminding you, again and again, that there are many layers waiting for you to perceive and engage with. And now, you are ready to go deeper, because simply recognizing their existence is only the very beginning of the journey. True transformation starts when you learn to live directly from these deeper layers, to turn your internal resonance into deliberate action, into conscious choice, and into profound presence. As your awareness expands, the world around you will literally feel different. Familiar places will seem to glow with an added, subtle light. Time itself will soften, losing its rigid linearity, as if it is breathing in sync with you. You will feel reality moving with your own unique pulse, an intimate dance between your inner and outer worlds. This is not mere imagination or wishful thinking. It is the undeniable signature of an expanded state of consciousness, a state where the boundary between your inner and outer self fades into a beautiful continuum, where your thoughts are not sparks trapped within your brain, but rather powerful waves moving through a vast, interconnected ocean of possibility. From this moment onward, you will never again see the world through your old eyes. You have stepped into a profound depth, and the path ahead will continue to unfold without any discernible limit, revealing ever greater dimensions of reality. You have begun to see that what brought you to this precise moment cannot be random. Among the endless scroll of information, images, and digital distractions that fill our modern world, you stopped here. You chose to hear these words. And that in itself is a powerful sign. The quantum field does not operate on luck. It does not choose at random. It only responds with astonishing precision to resonance. It is your deeper self, your awakened future self, that has subtly led you to this point. Not to teach you something entirely new, but to let you witness a truth that has always existed, dormant, inside you. In that space, you are no longer passively dragged along by old, unconscious momentum. You begin to clearly see that even within the same challenging situation, multiple, reasonable, and constructive paths exist. The fundamental difference lies in which self you bring to the stage. The defensive one, or the creative one. The fearful one, or the sovereign one. The one who constantly needs to prove their worth, or the one who already knows, intrinsically, that they are enough. Whichever version you choose to embody, your entire energetic field broadcasts that specific frequency, and the corresponding reality then naturally gathers around you. Habits are not formed by grand, sweeping decisions, but rather by countless micro-choices made throughout the day. So, just one day, consciously filled with aligned micro-choices, already begins to shift your trajectory onto a completely new map of possibilities. The core secret lies not in wishful affirmations, but in the subtle, yet powerful language you use inside yourself, through your posture and your breath. When the body changes its physical state, the signals sent back to the brain change dramatically. The emotional circuit recalibrates its scale, and your thoughts naturally begin to straighten and clarify themselves. You do not need to force positive thinking. Instead, you create the biological conditions within your body for clear thinking to spontaneously arise on its own. That is the precise, sustainable, and powerful path to transformation. Instead of stacking effort upon willpower, you intelligently lay the foundation for a new quantum collapse, a new reality, through the body, through conscious rhythm, and through gentle, consistent discipline. From this solid foundation, your choices begin to flow smoothly, not as arduous battles, but as effortless, intuitive shifts. Begin tomorrow morning, right as you awaken, without touching your phone or immediately engaging with external stimuli. Place one hand gently on your chest and the other on your abdomen. Inhale deeply through your nose, feeling the expansion. Then exhale slightly longer, allowing a complete release. Repeat this focused breathing 3 times. After these conscious breaths, gently call forth the feeling of the version you most wish to embody today. The moment you focus on it, you realize life is not only happening outside you, but flowing through every single cell of your being. This very awareness turns your breath into a direct bridge, connecting you deeply and profoundly to the present moment. When you truly pay attention, you can sense that even your heartbeat has its own distinct voice, merging with the pulse of the universe, reminding you, unequivocally, that you and the universe were never truly separate. From here, you begin to see your responsibility with crystal clarity, because you now know, undeniably, that you are a co-creator. You can no longer ignore the immense power of your thoughts or indulge in chaotic, uncontrolled emotions, because each fragment of energy you release falls into the quantum field as a seed for tomorrow's reality. This is the moment when you feel both incredibly excited and perhaps slightly unsettled, because you understand that the era of innocence and unconsciousness is over. Every step you take now leaves a discernible imprint on the fabric of reality. And for that reason, the journey ahead becomes more sacred, more intentional than ever before. Remember, you did not stop here by accident. Among millions of pieces of content competing for attention, it was the specific resonance within you that brought you here. To receive this profound confirmation, you have truly stepped into a new state of being, an elevated frequency. That resonance is the unmistakable call of your higher self, your own future self, gently holding your hand, pulling you from the old repetitive loop of unconscious living. From this point onward, you begin to see life not as a series of disconnected, random events, but as an intricate web of light, where every knot is inextricably linked. You are standing at a powerful crossroads, where many paths converge. Every choice you make now does not only affect your personal tomorrow, but it ripples out infinitely, touching other versions of you existing simultaneously in countless parallel realities. You once thought life was a single stream, flowing inevitably in one direction. When you live in this intentional way, life ceases to be a tiresome cycle of unconscious repetition and instead becomes a conscious creation, a beautiful symphony where the conductor is you, the awakened observer, the deliberate chooser, the one who lives in profound awareness. Each morning, when you open your eyes, a new universe of potential is born within your mind. From here, your awareness can no longer shrink back into the old, confined frame. Once you have truly known the vastness of this multidimensional reality, you cannot return to the small, predictable box you lived in before. And that, in itself, is the great, liberating gift of this awakening. It does not promise an easy road. Indeed, expansion often brings its own challenges as old patterns surface for release. But it assures you that you will truly live, fully alive, with all your capacity and profound presence engaged. Breathe deeply now, allowing yourself to feel the subtle but undeniable change weaving through every cell of your being. Allow your heart to open fully, to receive the truth that you have entered a new phase, a phase where you not only observe reality, but actively, consciously, co-create it. And understand that this very moment is the clearest confirmation that you have been prepared for a long time to go forward, to step into this journey of expansion, where your deepest truth and your inherent power will be revealed, piece by magnificent piece. You have realized that your mind is indeed like a radio. For many years, It has been predominantly tuned to a single frequency, the frequency of familiar, consensus reality, where most people live, where events seem to follow events in an endless, repeating cycle of days. But now that the door has opened, you are beginning to hear other signals, new channels bleeding through. These appear not because you tried to force them, but because they flow in naturally, effortlessly. Sometimes they manifest as a dream so vivid and potent that you feel it is more real than your waking life. Just one fleeting thought about what needs to be done, or a mild worry, and your body immediately releases stress hormones. Your heartbeat shifts, your breath shortens, and you collapse again into the same familiar frequency you lived in yesterday. You have touched layers of consciousness that have always existed around you, but until now, lay beyond your ability to perceive or receive. Science is increasingly exploring these realms through fields like quantum entanglement and the study of consciousness, bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern inquiry. When you begin to think of yourself as tired, as anxious, or as struggling, reality collapses into that corresponding state. You engage in this process every day without fully realizing it, not just once, but hundreds of times. Every familiar thought you entertain, every repeated emotion you experience, is a deliberate collapse into a specific version of yourself. And the astonishing thing is that all of this often happens before you even get to make a conscious choice. Your body has already chosen for you because it remembers. It is fiercely loyal to the old pattern. But now, you sense countless other colors were always there. Only your eyes and mind were not yet ready to perceive them. You realize you are not confined to just one possibility, not trapped within a single, predetermined script. You stand before an endless, intricate network, where every choice, every potential outcome, already exists in the field of all possibilities. And because of this profound shift, when your consciousness touches these deeper layers, synchronicities begin to appear in an accelerating sequence. It's akin to repeatedly choosing the same song from a vast playlist of thousands. Your subconscious mind craves the familiar rhythm it already knows. Each time you listen, the same memories, neurochemistry, and emotions are re-triggered, creating a perfect feedback loop that strengthens the pattern. When mere coincidence transforms into deeply ingrained habit, true freedom of choice diminishes. That is why true awakening does not happen when you merely think a new thought, but when you clearly see the old cycle beginning without participating in it, simply observing it with detachment. Your power lies in cultivating awareness of that precise starting point, the exact moment your nervous system begins replaying the old film. In that moment, you can pause, not with tense willpower or struggle, but with the stillness and wisdom of someone who already knows. Imagine listening to a song and suddenly realizing it's the same one playing again. It attempts to make you doubt, whispering that all of this is an illusion, that you are merely imagining things. It pulls you back into the familiar, narrow confines of logic, attempting to make you feel safe in the old, predictable reality. But the truth is, these signals are becoming clearer, stronger, and you can feel their undeniable power when you truly begin to observe them. When you acknowledge their existence, they grow more potent. When you honor them as genuine guidance, they direct you with increasing precision and confidence. This is precisely how quantum consciousness works its transformative magic. Once you know, deep within your being, that there are hidden layers beneath the surface of reality, you can no longer pretend that life is random or arbitrary. You see, with absolute certainty, that your inner state and your outer experience are so tightly linked, so inextricably woven, that they cannot truly be separated. You realize that your emotions, your thoughts, and your energetic vibration are the raw material, the fundamental building blocks, forming the circumstances you live in, shaping your entire world. Then, you will gradually start to notice that the reality around you also begins to change, subtly, yet profoundly, because your very frequency of transmission has shifted The greatest trap is believing that willpower alone is sufficient to create lasting change. Willpower cannot override deeply ingrained automation without the presence of profound awareness. You cannot defeat instinct by brute force. You can only transform it through refined, intentional attention. When you learn to observe the activation of an old pattern, you effectively become the conductor of your internal orchestra, instead of merely a performer following a pre-written script. You are no longer waking up as a character in a story already penned for you. Each morning is a unique quantum experiment. You can either collapse into the old, familiar identity, or you can consciously choose to collapse into the new, desired self. You can react as you did yesterday, or you can remain silent, present, and allow a new frequency to take form within you. And as these responses grow undeniably clear, you know, deep down, that you cannot go back to the old, limited view of reality. Because once you have truly seen the intricate web of light connecting everything, you cannot pretend that it is all just fragmented, disconnected pieces. This is a subtle, yet utterly decisive shift in perception. It fundamentally changes how you see yourself in the world. Your place within the grand design. Remember the times you once called coincidences. Those moments when something happened so precisely, so perfectly, that it stunned you into silence. Each conscious pause weakens the gravitational pull of the former self, much like a pendulum losing momentum until it eventually comes to rest, allowing you to set a completely new direction. The lure of old patterns and collapse cannot be entirely erased, but it can be powerfully redirected, and the inherent right to redirect it has always been, and will always be, yours. From a biological perspective, every emotion you experience is intrinsically linked to a specific chemical pattern within your body. When you persist in negative emotional states for extended periods, your body can actually become addicted to the unique chemistry associated with those emotions. The emotion effectively transforms into a substance your body craves, and your mind will then unconsciously create scenarios and situations designed to procure another dose of that familiar chemical cocktail. Your cells, in essence, do not forget. They record and meticulously reproduce the same chemical environment, ensuring that you continue to feel as you did yesterday. When you declare, "I want to change," your conscious mind may readily agree, but your body, with its deep-seated memories, often does not. It is not yet convinced. It still subtly demands its old dose of hormones, the familiar waves of adrenaline, cortisol, and even dopamine associated with old patterns. The body, in its ancient wisdom, believes that safety equates to familiarity, so, even if that familiar pattern causes you pain or limitation, it clings to it because, to the body, familiar still equals survival. This is the turning point when you understand that reality is no longer a chaotic collection of random events, but rather a meticulously composed piece of music. And you, in this moment, have just begun to hear the hidden melody behind each note, a resonance your ears could not catch before, but now sounds clearly and beautifully. From that moment, you can no longer pretend. You cannot go back to believing life is random or disconnected. You must admit, openly, that everything inside and outside you is intrinsically linked and mirrors each other with perfect fidelity. And when you fully accept this profound truth, you no longer feel small or insignificant. You begin to see that your inner state is the ultimate key, that what you think and feel quickly reflects outward, like looking into an endless, perfectly honest mirror. This is not a mere promise of what might be, but the undeniable experience you are living right now. Because the more you observe, the more you clearly see that a fleeting thought can, with surprising speed, lead to a concrete event. A feeling you nurture, consistently and intentionally, can either open or close a significant door in the external world of circumstances. And gradually, you understand, you are not only a witness to reality, but the master scriptwriter, both actor and director. And the stage is this entire world. Remember those times you hesitated, and then suddenly, as if by magic, met precisely the right person with exactly the right advice. Remember those days you were filled with an unshakable sense of trust and openness, and opportunities seemed to appear out of nowhere? That is not a trick of fate. That is the quantum field responding directly and impeccably to your unique frequency. Observe what arises during this period. A faster heartbeat, shorter breath, persistent thoughts urging you to give up. All are echoes of old patterns, calling you back to what is known. When you face them without reacting to them, the body gradually learns that safety can indeed exist even without those familiar chemicals. You are actively teaching your biology to be calm and grounded even in uncertainty, and that, truly, is where genuine freedom begins. Most people unfortunately never pass through this critical doorway because they mistakenly interpret discomfort as failure. They don't realize it is the very physical expression of deep transformation taking place. Consequently, they return to old patterns to regain a familiar feeling, and they call this stability when it is merely unconscious repetition. To break this loop definitively, you must consistently give your body a new experience. Repeat it enough times that it recognizes this new state as its true home, because you have moved beyond the old, superficial surface layer of reality. You have begun to touch the true underlying current of deeper layers, and they are actively greeting you in their own unique language, the language of signs and meaningful coincidences. Listen closely, observe diligently, because each number, each meeting, each unexpected event is a subtle map leading you further along your path. But also remember, the old mind, with its ingrained patterns, will not disappear instantly or without a fight. It will try, repeatedly, to pull you back into its familiar loop. It will make you doubt. It will make you deny the validity of your experiences. But you already hold the strongest weapon against this resistance: pure, unwavering attention. Because when you bring the clear light of your awareness to an old program, an old limiting belief, it begins to dissolve. Just as darkness disappears instantly when light enters a room. No struggle is needed, only your consistent presence. This is the stage when you understand, unequivocally, that you are not passive. You are an active co-creator. That life is no longer a string of random, disconnected events, but an interactive, dynamic system where you and the universe engage in a harmonious dance to the rhythm of resonance. When you take an intentional step, the world answers with a reinforcing beat. When you hold a clear thought, the field replies with a confirming signal. And from here, you are no longer just passing through life, but actively weaving your own reality, stitch by conscious stitch. As you see this, you realize no event in your life is meaningless. Everything has a language. Everything has a profound reason for leading you to this exact moment. When you start speaking to your body through the language of conscious breath, deliberate movement, restful pauses, and genuine gratitude, it understands that the old program has changed and begins to restructure itself accordingly. You don't necessarily have to believe it intellectually. You only have to practice it consistently. After approximately 3 weeks, most biological cycles begin to reorganize, and you will start to feel a profound lightness arise. This happens not because the external world has suddenly changed, but because you have stopped reacting to it in the same old, habitual way. This marks the beginning of energetic autonomy, where you are no longer passively pulled by chemical impulses, but instead learn to use them as conscious fuel for creation. When you truly understand the body's mechanisms, you stop blaming it for holding you back. Instead, you thank it for faithfully protecting you, and then you compassionately walk with it into the new, unknown future. This is the quantum self, the true, authentic version of you that has been there from the very beginning, but was obscured, hidden behind the masks that society, family, past memories, and old beliefs placed upon you. You no longer need to force it, because everything unfolds according to a deeper, universal law. You only need to maintain consistency in your practice, and keep your awareness wider and more expansive than your automatic reactions. This is the biology of freedom, where the body is no longer perceived as a prison, but as a sophisticated quantum instrument, serving the highest aspects of consciousness. When you understand that every cell within you is an observing particle, and every thought a potent command, you begin to treat yourself with a new level of respect and reverence, not with force or harsh judgment, but with gentle, informed guidance, because you now know, intrinsically, that your body is listening and responding to your every intention in every single moment. Let this transformative journey be a harmonious blend of cutting-edge science and ancient meditation, of logical understanding and subtle sensation, of the rational mind and the intuitive heart. Then, instead of trying to escape yourself or your circumstances, you naturally become the gentle, masterful conductor of a biological orchestra, resonating with an entirely new frequency, and the profound sound you emit becomes the very rhythm of an entirely new, consciously created reality. When you observe an electron, it instantly chooses a position, collapsing from a wave of probability into a definite particle. But when no one observes it, it exists everywhere at once, in a state of pure potential. That fascinating phenomenon is not just a quirk of physics. It is the fundamental nature of existence itself. The way you look at the world is, quite literally, the way the world becomes for you. When you observe yourself through the limiting lens of lack, you inevitably collapse into a reality of scarcity and limitation. Conversely, when you consciously see yourself through the expansive frequency of abundance, you collapse into a reality of growth and expansion. Observation is never a neutral act. It is always, fundamentally, a command issued to the universe. Every thought you entertain, every glance you cast, every emotion you choose to feel is a precise measurement that actively determines the state of reality you are forming. That is precisely why two people can live in identical circumstances and yet experience two vastly different worlds. Sometimes, it manifests as a strange lightness, as if old burdens are literally dropping away. Sometimes it's unexpected emotional turbulence, like deep waves rising to the surface, bringing old, unaddressed feelings to be cleared. But all of it is simply evidence that your nervous system is recalibrating, adjusting itself as you move into a higher, more refined frequency of being. You will also find your dreams becoming clearer, more lucid, sometimes symbolic, sometimes like small, direct prophecies, all reflecting that your consciousness has touched depths you never consciously knew existed. Every time you look at something, you are not only receiving incoming information, you are simultaneously projecting your own stored information onto the scene. Reality is not merely a passive mirror reflecting you. It is an active screen displaying the image you are consistently broadcasting. Once you deeply understand this, you begin to recognize the astonishing power of your own consciousness. Observation is, in its essence, creation. You do not wait to see something in order to believe it. You actively believe in order to see it manifest. When you genuinely believe you are safe, your brain sends harmonizing signals throughout your body. Your nervous system relaxes, hormones stabilize, and the world around you begins to respond with matching, supportive situations. Conversely, when you believe everything is against you, your heart contracts, your breath quickens, your energetic field emits powerful alarm signals, and you invariably attract experiences that confirm that belief. You become living proof of your own pervasive observation, no longer limited by what you once thought possible, no longer boxed in by outdated labels, no longer restrained by old wounds or past narratives. This is the moment you walk with the feet of freedom, speak with the voice of undeniable truth, and breathe with the rhythm of profound presence. The way you choose to see yourself fundamentally determines how energy arranges itself around you. Notice how some people enter a room, and the entire atmosphere feels lighter, more joyful. This is because they emit an open, expansive field of observation. They see potential and good in everyone, and that powerful gaze makes others instinctively rise to their highest selves. Others make a room feel heavy because they observe through a filter of skepticism, and their dense field suppresses brighter possibilities from unfolding. They come so you can consciously demonstrate your choice, that you choose awareness over unconscious reaction, that you choose unshakable trust over crippling doubt, that you choose to live in expansive freedom instead of returning to the familiar, albeit limited, cage you once knew. Each time you stand firm before such a test, your new, elevated frequency is reinforced by another layer of certainty, and gradually, your presence becomes so steady, so unwavering, that nothing external can truly shake it. This is the stage where the old self finally falls away, and the powerful, authentic quantum self fully rises. And from here, you begin to see that you are no longer a version of yourself defined and limited by the past, but the limitless being, living fully, powerfully, and consciously now, in the eternal present. You have arrived at the moment when the old masks begin to fall away, revealing your authentic essence. And from that emptiness, a new horizon opens before you, so vast, so boundless, that you can no longer name it with familiar language. When you observe yourself through the limitations of the past, you confine your future to the narrow boundaries of what is already known and experienced. When you observe yourself through the expansive lens of pure potential, you immediately open the door to what has never been before, to entirely new possibilities. That is the fundamental difference between one who lives enslaved by memory and one who lives dynamically in possibility. One constantly reacts to life, the other actively creates it. Here, you discover, with profound joy, that the universe has never withheld anything from you. Everything you have ever wished for, imagined, or even thought impossible, already exists in the quantum field as a blueprint of pure potential. And the only question left to answer is not whether it is real or even how it will manifest, but whether you are truly resonant with it. This is the pivotal shift from longing for something in the future to aligning with its frequency and living in its reality right now. Because the deepest secret of alignment does not lie in force, or strenuous effort, or relentlessly chasing external goals. It lies, profoundly, in resonance, in the specific frequency you carry within your being, moment to moment. Imagine the universe as an endless, magnificent symphony, where millions of melodies play at once. Each melody represents a possibility, a reality, a different version of you, a different outcome. You cannot make them stop, so you can hear only one. You can choose to see the world as a relentless battlefield, or as a magnificent laboratory for the evolution of the soul. You can choose to see others as potential threats, or as profound mirrors reflecting the parts of you that seek understanding and integration. When your perspective changes, the energetic field shifts, and outcomes profoundly transform. Those who observe consciously do not run from negativity. They understand that negativity is simply a limited state of awareness, and as their awareness expands, it naturally dissolves and transmutes. Observation is, in its highest form, the art of silence. When you consciously refrain from labeling, from prematurely concluding, from judging, you intentionally keep the wave of potential uncollapsed. And in that state of quantum superposition, infinite possibilities continue to coexist openly. You do not force the world to conform to what you want. Instead, you open a sacred space for the world to reveal itself to you through a higher, more harmonious frequency. If you consciously think of wealth but, deep inside, you are afraid of lack, you are inadvertently resonating with lack, and that is what the universe will mirror. But if you truly nurture genuine gratitude, profound openness, and unshakable trust, even when there is nothing tangible in hand, you are resonating with the frequency of abundance and wealth, and the universe will mirror it back to you unstoppably and abundantly. This is precisely why gratitude holds such immense power, because when you declare, authentically, I already have, or I am already enough, or I am already whole, the quantum field does not argue with your declaration. It simply organizes events and circumstances for you to live, embody, and experience what you have declared as your truth. And this is also why visioning and imagining are so incredibly powerful, not because they are mere daydreams or escapism, but because they actively train your nervous system to genuinely believe your dream is already real, already existing, and every day, you are praying thousands of times through the way you look at yourself, at others, and at life itself. So, instead of merely saying, "I want to change," begin by seeing differently. Try observing yourself as someone actively blooming, not someone perpetually fixing themselves. Try seeing the world as an intelligent, responsive network, continuously responding to each beat of your heart, each intentional thought, and you will find that miracles are no longer rare, isolated occurrences, but the natural, inevitable result of a new way of seeing. So stop asking how, and instead ask, what am I resonating with right now? Stop asking when, and instead ask, what feeling, what frequency am I carrying right now? Because the frequency you consistently carry decides the very rhythm and manifestation of external events in your life. When you truly understand this, you see with unwavering clarity that choice is not merely a thought, it is, fundamentally, a vibration. Each time you choose a specific state of being, peace, confidence, love, you are actively turning your inner dial to match another, already existing, reality. The restlessness, anxiety, and profound discomfort that inevitably arise when you initially start to change are not signs of failure. They are compelling proof that you are actively stepping out of the old, entrenched chemistry. Like a caffeine addict in the first days without coffee, you may feel foggy-headed, your head may ache, your mood may swing unpredictably because your biological system is experiencing a temporary withdrawal from the compounds it has depended on for so long. Your body is essentially asking, where are the usual hormones of fear, worry, and tension that I'm accustomed to? If you do not consciously understand this process, you will easily mistake the discomfort for a wrong path and rush back to the old self, just to feel safe and familiar again. But comfort does not always mean right, and unease does not always mean wrong. True biological change always comes with a period of trembling or dis-ease, not as a punishment, but as a necessary restructuring. And whichever door truly resonates with that frequency will open by itself, effortlessly, as if welcoming you home. So, instead of waiting, instead of doubting, start now, today. Nurture the feeling you want to see manifest in your life. Let it become your very breath. Live as if it is already real, already here. And you will watch, with profound wonder, as the doors open naturally in front of you, with a grace and ease that will make you smile, knowing you are in perfect alignment. This is when you understand that resonance is not merely a technique you apply briefly and then abandon. Most people unfortunately stop here because they cannot tolerate the emptiness or the unfamiliarity. They mistakenly think stillness means losing their drive or motivation, when in fact, it is the quiet, powerful charge before the entire system restarts and reboots. When an old energy pattern dissolves, there is a distinct space that opens up between two frequencies, and in that void, the mind can panic because it has nothing familiar to cling to. If you stay patient and do not instinctively run back to the old familiar habits, you will soon realize you are actively being recreated. Many neuroscientists refer to this as the phase of synaptic rewiring. Neurons that once connected along old habitual paths begin to separate and prune themselves, creating vital space for entirely new circuits to form. And it is this temporary, necessary disorder that often makes you feel strange, disoriented, or unlike yourself. In truth, if you can consciously pass through this period, typically a few weeks, you will witness your body begin to naturally adapt to the new, higher state. You have reached the final, crucial step of this journey, where alignment is no longer a fleeting, mystical experience, or a temporary moment of awakening that eventually fades. It becomes an embodied way of living, a state where you begin to anchor quantum consciousness into the intricate details of your daily life, turning it into a steady, unshakable foundation instead of a passing wave. True awakening is not a flash that comes and goes, leaving you searching for its return. Awareness helps you clearly see that these internal reactions are not enemies, but rather the eloquent language of your biology, signaling that you are nearing a quantum leap in your evolution. Kindness allows you to nurture this delicate process gently, without force, without harsh judgment, but with unwavering compassion. Whenever your body trembles or feels resistant, breathe deeply. Place your hand gently on your chest and softly whisper, "I am safe. I am learning a new way to live." When you send this clear, reassuring message, the parasympathetic nervous system activates, stress hormones drop significantly, and the restructuring process flows far more smoothly and effectively. Do not think that talking to your body is meaningless or fanciful. Science has increasingly proven that cells respond directly to sound frequency and conscious intention. When you speak softly with genuine compassion, those healing sound waves travel through the water in your tissues, creating powerful, harmonizing vibrations. This is the profound meaning of anchoring, making this new, elevated frequency your normal, making it your breath, making it how you inherently operate in the world. And how do you anchor it? Not through tense, strenuous effort or forceful control, but through steady, subtle, and consistent steps, integrated seamlessly into your daily life. First, you need repeated awareness. Each time you find yourself slipping into the old self, the familiar patterns of thought or emotion, you pause, take a deep, conscious breath, and gently remind yourself, that is no longer me. It will no longer frantically seek intense, dramatic emotions to feel alive, but rather seek profound balance and coherence to feel truly real and authentic. Then, everything inside you begins to soften, to align, and that is when your energy field becomes transparent and clear. When your energy is clear and coherent, you no longer need to exert effort to manifest or attract. You don't have to visualize or force attraction, because that steady, high-frequency state itself is the most powerful magnetic field of creation. Next, you need connecting rituals. These need not be complicated or time-consuming. Sometimes, it's as simple as starting your morning with a moment of heartfelt gratitude, ending your night with a clear, resonant affirmation, or writing your higher self's choices in a journal. Perhaps it's saying aloud empowering phrases like, "I live as my highest self," or "I am the embodiment of infinity," or "My reality mirrors my inner peace." These rituals are not designed to convince the universe of anything. The universe already knows. Their purpose is to deeply remind you that you have consciously chosen this elevated frequency, this expanded reality. With consistent repetition, your body, your mind, your nervous system itself reconfigures and realigns to this new, deliberate choice. But rituals alone, while powerful, are not enough for complete anchoring. You need aligned action. Because the quantum self does not wait for external evidence before acting. It acts as if the evidence is already here, already manifest. If your highest self embodies abundance, observe how it uses money, how it approaches resources, how it gives. If your highest self embodies confidence, observe how it walks into a room, how it speaks, how it carries itself. If your highest self embodies unconditional love, observe how it treats others, how it responds to challenges, how it offers compassion, and then start living that way, now. Because action is the tangible bridge that turns frequency into matter, that transmutes intention into physical reality. Each small, aligned step you take reinforces the vibration you choose to embody. There is another equally important element for robust anchoring: collective resonance. Because energy, by its very nature, spreads and amplifies. You will anchor faster and more deeply when you are in an environment that actively nourishes your chosen frequency. This means intentionally surrounding yourself with people whose words, their energy, their very presence lifts you up instead of pulling you down into limiting patterns. It means choosing to read, listen to, and take in expansive, empowering content instead of restrictive or fear-based information. When you purposefully place yourself in an aligned space, the energetic field around you naturally supports and reinforces your chosen rhythm, making it easier to maintain your vibration. And the factor that locks the new frequency most firmly into your being, perhaps above all others, is trust. Not blind belief, but a deep, unwavering knowing that does not require constant checking or external validation. Because when you keep asking, "Is it working? Is this real?" you inadvertently slip back into the old self, the old patterns of doubt and insecurity. But when you simply know, with quiet certainty, and you trust the process implicitly, you seal the vibration within yourself, and the universe must respond in kind, mirroring your trust. Remember, even after you anchor deeply, tests will inevitably appear. These are not sent to break you, but to verify you, to offer opportunities for deeper integration. Life will send back old situations, familiar challenges, to ask, gently but firmly, "Are you truly different now? Have you truly shifted your frequency?" And when you respond, consciously, from the new self, from your quantum self, instead of reverting to the old, conditioned patterns, you drive the anchor deeper still. You carve another layer of certainty into your being. Each time you do this, you become less easily shaken, less swayed by external circumstances. You stand firmer, more centered, and reality truly begins to bend around you, conforming to your internal state. Opportunities will flow in, relationships will harmoniously shift, and synchronicity will appear so often it simply becomes your new normal, an expected part of your daily life. And when that happens, you will understand, with profound clarity, that miracles are no longer exceptions to the rule. They have become the very texture of your life, the quiet, undeniable proof that you are living fully and effortlessly as the quantum self. Your frequency is steady, your choices are embodied, and your reality is reflecting back to you with increasing precision that you are no longer drifting between moments of awakening, but dwelling consistently and powerfully inside the expanded state you once only glimpsed.